You wake up on a Tuesday morning in New York City and everyone is gone. Not dead, not sick, not evacuated, just gone. 8 billion people vanished in an instant while you slept. You are the last human on Earth and you don't know why. This is your story. Day 1 begins with confusion. You wake up at 7 a.m. to silence. No traffic sounds outside your apartment window. No neighbor's alarm clock through the thin walls. No footsteps in the hallway above. Just silence. Complete, total, unnatural silence in the middle of Manhattan. You check your phone, no signal. You turn on the TV, static on every channel. You open your laptop, internet is down. You look out your window and see empty streets. Cars stopped in the middle of intersections, doors open, engines still running. A bus crashed into a storefront, driver's seat empty. Coffee still steaming on a cafe table outside, nobody there. A stroller rolling slowly down the sidewalk, empty. A dog wandering alone, confused, looking for its owner. Your first thought is you're still dreaming. You pinch yourself, slap your face, nothing changes. You're awake and everyone is gone. You get dressed quickly, hands shaken. You run down the stairs of your building, 6 flights because the elevator isn't working. You burst onto the street and scream hello. Your voice echoes off the buildings and dies. No response. You run to the next block, the next street, screaming, calling out. Nothing. You see more abandoned cars, more empty clothes on sidewalks like people evaporated out of them. A briefcase lying open, papers scattered. A pizza delivery bike fallen over, pizza still in the box. A construction worker's hard hat on the ground, no worker. You run for 20 minutes through Times Square. Times Square is completely empty. The giant screens still playing advertisements to nobody. The lights still flashing. The sounds of the ads echoing through empty canyons of buildings. You're alone in Times Square. You fall to your knees and you scream. Not words, just a primal scream of confusion and terror. When you stop screaming, the silence rushes back. That's when you realize you can hear your own heartbeat in your ears. You start checking buildings. You run into a Starbucks, the door unlocked. Coffee machines still running. Espresso dripping into cups, no baristas. Pastries fresh in the display case. Someone's laptop open on a table, screensaver bouncing. You call out, "Anyone here?" And your voice sounds too loud in the empty cafe. No answer. You check the bathroom, empty. You check the back room, empty. You run across the street to a hotel lobby. The front desk has a computer logged in, mid-transaction, but no clerk. The lobby bar has drinks half-finished on tables. A newspaper open to the crossword, pen line across it. Someone was mid-word. You take the stairs to the second floor, then the third, checking rooms. Every door is locked except one. You push it open. The room is occupied, bed unmade, TV on, suitcase open, toiletries on the bathroom counter, but no person. You check 20 more rooms. Same thing. Signs of recent occupation, but no people. You go back to the street and you start walking. You walk south through Manhattan for 3 hours. You pass thousands of abandoned cars. You pass hundreds of empty storefronts. You pass 0 people. You keep thinking you'll see someone, anyone, around the next corner. But every corner is empty. Every street is silent except for car alarms, a few still beeping. Some engines still running until they sputter out of gas. Birds landing on the abandoned vehicles, confused. Rats emerging from subway grates. emboldened by the absence of humans. You reach the Brooklyn Bridge, and you stand at the pedestrian entrance. The bridge is full of abandoned cars, a massive traffic jam frozen in time. You walk between the cars, looking in windows. Some have keys still in the ignition. Some have coffee and cup holders still warm. Some have children's car seats, empty. Halfway across the bridge, you stop and look back at Manhattan. The skyline is still there, still standing, still intact. But it feels dead, like looking at a corpse. You look down at the East River below. You think about jumping. Not seriously, not yet, but the thought enters your mind. What's the point of being the last human alive? You push the thought away and keep walking. You reach Brooklyn, and it's the same. Empty streets, abandoned cars, no people. You find a grocery store, and the automatic doors still work. Inside, the lights are on, the refrigerator's humming. Fresh produce in the bins, meat in the butcher section, bread on the shelves. Everything looks normal except there's no shoppers and no employees. You grab a shopping cart and you start filling it. Not because you're hungry. You're too shocked to be hungry. But because it feels normal. It feels like something a person does. You fill the cart with water bottles, canned food, bread, peanut butter, crackers. You walk to the checkout and you stop. There's no one to check you out. You could just take everything. You laugh, a harsh sound in the empty store. You could take everything in the store and nobody would stop you. Nobody would care. Nobody exists to care. You leave the cart at the checkout and walk out empty-handed. You don't know why. Maybe it's principle. Maybe it's denial. Maybe you're still hoping this is temporary and when everyone comes back, you don't want to be a looter. You walk back toward Manhattan as the sun sets. The street lights come on automatically, sensors detecting the darkness. The city illuminates itself for an audience of one. You make it back to your apartment building after dark. You climb the 6 flights again. You enter your apartment and close the door behind you. You lock it. You don't know why you lock it. There's no one to keep out. But you lock it anyway, because that's what you do. You sit on your couch in the dark. You don't turn on the lights. You just sit there as the city glows through your window. You think about today. You walked probably 15 miles through New York City. You checked hundreds of locations. You saw 0 people. You saw evidence of 8 million people who were here yesterday. But today, nobody. You try to think of explanations. Rapture. But you're not religious, and this doesn't match any rapture theology you know. Alien abduction. Possible. But why would aliens take everyone except you? Government experiment. But what experiment? And why leave the city intact? Pandemic. But there's no bodies, no blood, no signs of illness. People just vanished. Instantly. While you slept. You think about your family, your parents in Ohio, your sister in California, your friends scattered across the country. Are they gone too, or is this just New York? You try your phone again, still no signal. You try to think about what to do tomorrow. Check more of the city? Try to leave the city? Find a car with keys and drive to Ohio? But it's an 8-hour drive. And what if they're gone too? What if everywhere is empty? What if you drive 8 hours just to find more empty streets? You lie down on your couch, still dressed. You tell yourself you'll sleep for a few hours and figure it out in the morning. But you don't sleep. You lie there, staring at the ceiling as the city hums around you. Electricity still flowing. Water still running in pipes. Refrigerators humming in empty apartments. Traffic lights changing for no cars. Subway trains running on automatic, empty, through tunnels beneath you. The city is a machine that's still running, even though its operators are gone. You are a passenger in a ghost ship called Earth. Day 2 begins with determination. You slept maybe an hour, fitfully, nightmares about being alone. You wake up, and for a brief moment you think yesterday was the nightmare. Then you hear the silence, and you remember. Everyone is still gone. You decide today you need answers. You need to find out if this is just New York or everywhere. You need to find out what happened. You need to find out if you're truly alone. You pack a backpack with water and food from your apartment. You grab a flashlight, a knife from your kitchen, your phone even though it doesn't work. You put on comfortable walking shoes. You head out. Your goal today is to get to a radio station or a TV station. If anyone is broadcasting, you'll hear it there. If you can broadcast, maybe someone will hear you. You walk to the nearest news station, about 2 miles away. The streets are eerily different in daylight. Yesterday there was coffee still steaming, engines still running. Today the coffee is cold. The engines are silent. Nature is already beginning to reclaim small spaces. Pigeons everywhere. Bolder now, walking in the middle of streets. Rats visible in broad daylight. A cat sitting in a storefront window, watching you pass. Dogs wandering in packs, 3 or 4 together, already forming primitive hierarchies. You reach the news station, and the doors are locked. You find a brick and smash the glass door. The alarm goes off, shrieking. You wait for security, police, anyone. Nobody comes. The alarm blares for 10 minutes, then stops. Battery probably dead. You enter the building. The lobby is empty but lit. Emergency lighting still on. You find the stairs and climb to the 3rd floor where the studios are. You push open the door to the main studio. The red on AR light is off. Equipment is on standby. There's a script on the anchor desk, dated yesterday, 7 a.m. broadcast. Someone was reading this script when they vanished. You sit in the anchor chair. You try to turn on the microphone. Nothing happens. You find the control room and try flipping switches. Some lights come on, but you don't understand the equipment. You're not a broadcast engineer. You try for an hour to get something working. Nothing. You leave the news station and head to a radio station. Smaller building, might be easier. You reach it in 20 minutes. Door is unlocked. You enter and climb stairs to the broadcast booth. There's a microphone, headphones, a mixing board. You sit down and try to figure it out. You flip the switch that says on air. A red light comes on. You speak into the microphone. Hello, is anyone out there? This is the emergency broadcast. If anyone can hear this, please respond. You wait. Nothing. You repeat your message. You repeat it 10 times. You wait 15 minutes between each repetition. Nobody responds. You don't even know if your voice is transmitting. You could be talking to nobody, literally. You leave the radio station feeling defeated. You walk through Central Park. The park is beautiful. Nature doesn't care that humans are gone. Trees still green, grass still growing, flowers still blooming. A deer walks across the path in front of you. A deer in Central Park. Must have come from the Bronx Zoo or somewhere north. Without humans, animals are spreading. You sit on a bench and watch the deer graze. It's peaceful. For a moment, you forget you're alone. Then you remember, and the loneliness crashes over you like a wave. You start crying. You cry for 20 minutes, sitting on a bench in Central Park, the last human on Earth. When you stop crying, you feel empty, hollow. You think about suicide again. More seriously this time, what's the point? Everyone you love is gone. Everyone you knew is gone. You're alone on a planet of 8 billion people, and you're the only one left. But something stops you. Maybe it's survival instinct. Maybe it's curiosity about what happened. Maybe it's the irrational hope that someone else is out there, somewhere, looking for survivors just like you. You decide to keep going, at least for today. You leave Central Park and head toward the Empire State Building. You think if you get to the top, you can see the whole city. Maybe see signs of life you missed from ground level. Maybe see smoke from a fire someone started. Maybe see anything. You reach the Empire State Building. The doors are locked, but you smash through. Same as the news station. You take the stairs because the elevator requires a key. You climb. 86 flights of stairs. It takes you 2 hours. Your legs are burning, lungs screaming, but you keep climbing. You reach the observation deck. You push open the door and step out into the wind. The view takes your breath away. New York City spreads before you in every direction. Skyscrapers, bridges, rivers, parks, all intact. All empty. You scan the streets with your eyes. No movement except animals and wind. No smoke, no fires, no signs of human activity. The city is a museum. You look north toward the Bronx and beyond. You look south toward Staten Island. You look east toward Queens and Brooklyn. You look west toward New Jersey. Everything looks normal from up here. But you know it's not. You sit on the observation deck as the sun sets behind New Jersey. The city begins to light up. Automatic lights on timers and sensors. Street lights, building lights, billboard lights. The city illuminates itself again for nobody. It's beautiful and heartbreaking. You think about your sister in California. Is she gone too? Is anyone alive anywhere? Or are you truly the last one? You climb down the 86 flights as darkness falls. Your legs are jelly by the time you reach the ground. You walk back to your apartment in the dark. The streets are lit but empty. A cab's headlights still on, battery draining. A street performer's boombox still playing, battery dying, music slow and warped. You pass your reflection in a storefront window, and you stop. You look rough. 2 days of no shower, clothes slept in, eyes red from crying, face pale from shock. You look like a survivor. Which you are. You're surviving. You reach your apartment and climb the stairs again. Your legs barely work. You enter your apartment and go straight to the bathroom. You turn on the shower. Water still works. Hot water still works. You stand under the hot water for 30 minutes, washing away 2 days of sweat and fear. When you get out, you feel slightly more human. You eat a can of beans cold from the can. You drink water from the tap. You sit on your couch and stare at the wall. Tomorrow you'll try to leave the city. You'll find a car and drive somewhere, maybe to your parents' house in Ohio. Maybe you'll find someone. Maybe you won't. But you have to try. You fall asleep on the couch thinking about your sister. You dream she's calling your name, but you can't find her. Day 3 begins with purpose. You wake up early, 6 a.m., first light coming through your window. You pack everything you think you'll need. Water bottles, canned food, a can opener, a knife, a flashlight, extra batteries, a first aid kit from your bathroom cabinet, warm clothes, A map of the United States you find in a drawer. You put it all in a hiking backpack. You write a note on a piece of paper. I am alive. I went to Ohio to find my family. If anyone reads this, please follow. My name is written at the bottom with your phone number, even though phones don't work. You tape the note to your apartment door, just in case. You leave your apartment for what might be the last time. You prop open the building's front door with a brick so anyone checking buildings can get in. You walk to the nearest parking garage. You need to find a car with keys. The garage is full of cars, but most are locked with no keys. You check 50 cars. On the 51st, you find one unlocked with keys in the cup holder, a Honda Civic. You get in. You turn the key. The engine starts. Thank God. You back out carefully, weaving between abandoned cars. You exit the garage and drive onto the street. This is surreal. You're driving through Manhattan, and there's no traffic. No pedestrians, no bikes. Just you and abandoned cars. You have to drive slowly, swerving around stopped vehicles in every intersection. Some streets are completely blocked, and you have to backtrack and find alternate routes. It takes you an hour to drive what would normally be 10 minutes. You finally make it to the Lincoln Tunnel. The tunnel is dark, lights off, full of abandoned cars. You turn on your headlights and drive slowly through the tunnel. The sound of your engine echoes off the tile walls. You're halfway through when your headlights catch something moving. You slam on the brakes. Your heart racing. A person? No. A dog. A big German shepherd, standing in the middle of the tunnel, staring at your headlights. You honk the horn. The dog doesn't move. You inch forward slowly. The dog watches you. You're 10 feet away. 5 feet. The dog turns and trots away into the darkness. You exhale. You thought for a second it was a person. The disappointment is crushing. You continue through the tunnel and emerge into New Jersey. New Jersey is the same. Empty. You get on the highway heading west toward Pennsylvania. The highway is a parking lot of abandoned cars. You drive on the shoulder, weaving between vehicles. Some cars have keys, engines running until the gas ran out. Some have bodies inside, not human bodies, just clothes, like people evaporated out of their outfits. You see empty pilot uniforms in abandoned planes at Newark Airport as you pass. You see empty police uniforms in patrol cars. You see empty medical scrubs in an ambulance stopped on the shoulder. Everyone gone. You drive for 4 hours, covering maybe 60 miles in time that should take 90 minutes. You stop at a rest stop to use the bathroom and get food. The rest stop is frozen in time. Cars in the parking lot. Trucks at the gas pumps. Inside, the food court has meals abandoned mid-bite. A child's Happy Meal on a table, toys still in the bag. A businessman's laptop open at a table, screensaver on. You use the bathroom. You grab food from behind the counter. Pre-made sandwiches still cold in the refrigerator. You eat mechanically. You're not hungry, but you know you need energy. You fill bottles with water from the soda fountain. You walk outside and scream as loud as you can. Is anyone out there? Your voice echoes across the parking lot and dies in the trees beyond. No answer. You get back in your car and keep driving. Pennsylvania is the same. Ohio is the same. Empty highways, abandoned cars, no people. You drive for 14 hours total with stops. You reach your parents' town as the sun is setting. Your childhood home is a small ranch house in a suburb. You turn onto your street, and your hands are shaking on the steering wheel. Please let them be here. Please let someone be here. You pull into the driveway. Your father's truck is there. Your mother's car is there. The front door is closed. You get out and run to the door. You try the handle. Locked. You pound on the door. "Mom! Dad! Are you there? It's me!" No answer. You find the spare key under the flower pot where it's always been. You unlock the door and push it open. "Mom? Dad?" The house is silent. You walk through. The kitchen has breakfast dishes in the sink. The living room has the TV on, muted, playing some daytime show. Your father's reading glasses on the side table next to his chair. Your mother's knitting basket on the couch, half-finished scarf. You check their bedroom. The bed is made. Your father's wallet and keys on the dresser. Your mother's purse on the chair. But no parents. You check every room, every closet, the garage, the backyard. Nobody. They're gone too. You sit on your childhood bed in your old room, posters still on the walls from high school, trophies on the shelf. Your parents kept your room exactly as you left it. And now they're gone. You lie down on the bed and you cry again. You cry until you have no tears left. You fall asleep in your childhood bed, alone in your parents' empty house, the last human on earth. Day 4 begins in your old room. You wake up disoriented, thinking you're 15 again. Then you remember. You're not 15. You're 32, and everyone is gone, including your parents. You go downstairs and eat cereal from your parents' pantry. Milk is bad, but you eat it dry. You sit at the kitchen table where you ate breakfast thousands of times growing up. You think about your sister in California. It's a 30-hour drive. Do you try? What's the point if she's gone too? But what if she's not? What if she's alive and waiting, and wondering if anyone else survived? You decide you have to try. You can't give up after 4 days. You have to know. You spend the day gathering supplies from your parents' house and the neighborhood. You break into the neighbor's garage and find a gas can. You siphon gas from abandoned cars to fill the can. You load the Honda with as much food and water as it can carry. You find a hunting rifle in your father's closet and a box of ammunition. You don't know why you take it. Protection, maybe. Though protection from what? There's no one to protect yourself from. Maybe it makes you feel safer. Maybe it's insurance in case you decide to end things. You pack family photos from the house. You don't know why. Sentimentality, maybe. You want something to remember them by, even though you could never forget. You leave another note on your parents' door. "I was here. I'm going to California to find Sarah. If anyone finds this, please follow." You get in the car and head west. Day 5 through day 10 is driving. You drive west across America, and it's all the same. Empty. You pass through Indiana. Empty. Illinois. Empty. You drive through Chicago, and it's eerie. The skyline intact, the highways frozen with cars. No people. You stop at Willis Tower and climb the stairs. It takes you 3 hours. You look out over Chicago from the observation deck. The whole city spread before you. Wind off Lake Michigan. City lights beginning to turn on as dusk falls. No people. You scream from the top of the tower as loud as you can. Is anyone out there? Your voice is swallowed by the wind. No answer. You drive through Iowa. Empty. Nebraska. Empty. The plains stretch forever. Amber waves of grain with no one to harvest them. You see herds of cattle wandering free, gates left open. You see horses running across fields. You see a zoo's worth of animals escaped and roaming. A lion in Kansas, a zebra in Nebraska. An elephant walking down the highway in Colorado. Animals are taking over already. You drive through Denver. Empty. You cross the Rockies, and the drive is beautiful and lonely. Snow-capped peaks, pine forests, mountain streams. Nature doesn't care that humans are gone. Nature continues. You drive through Utah. Empty. Salt flats that look like another planet. You drive through Nevada. Empty. Las Vegas is haunting. The Strip still lit up, all the casino lights flashing for nobody. Slot machines still running on battery backup. You walk through a casino, shoes echoing on the carpet. Thousands of slot machines, hundreds of card tables, all empty. Money scattered on the floor, where gamblers vanished mid-bet. You take $100 chip from a table as a souvenir. You laugh at yourself. Souvenir for who? You're the last person alive. Who are you going to show? You leave Las Vegas and drive into California. Day 11, you reach Los Angeles. Your sister lives in Los Angeles. You drive through the city toward her apartment. LA is the same as everywhere else. Empty highways, abandoned cars, no people. The Hollywood sign visible in the hills. You reach your sister's apartment building in Silver Lake. You park and run to her door. You pound on it. Sarah! Sarah, it's me! Are you there? Silence. You try the door. Locked. You kick it open. Adrenaline giving you strength. You rush inside, calling her name. The apartment is empty. Her stuff is here, her furniture, her photos on the walls, her cat carrier but no cat, her phone charging on the counter. But no Sarah. You search every room, every closet, under the bed, in the bathroom. Nobody. She's gone too. You sit on her couch, and you feel the last bit of hope drain out of you. You drove 3,000 miles to find her, and she's gone. Everyone is gone. You are alone, completely, totally, absolutely alone on planet Earth. You sit in your sister's apartment for 3 days, not moving. You don't eat, you barely drink, you just sit there staring at the wall. What's the point? Why keep going? There's no one to find. You're the last one. On day 14, you pick up the rifle. You load it. You put the barrel in your mouth, your finger on the trigger. You sit like that for an hour, just squeeze, and it's over. No more loneliness, no more silence, no more being the last human on Earth. But something stops you. You don't pull the trigger. Maybe it's cowardice. Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's the irrational thought that you owe it to everyone who's gone to survive, to bear witness, to remember. Someone has to remember that humanity existed. Someone has to remember your parents, your sister, your friends. If you die, it's like none of it ever happened. You take the rifle out of your mouth. You unload it. You put it in the corner. You stand up. You walk to the bathroom and look in the mirror. You look terrible. 2 weeks of dirt, 2 weeks of grief, 2 weeks of loneliness. But you're alive. You're still alive. And maybe that means something. You decide you need a purpose. If you're going to keep living, you need a reason. You can't just survive. You need to live. You decide your purpose is to document, to record what happened, to leave a record for whoever finds Earth next. Aliens, maybe. Future intelligent species that evolve, maybe. Some remnant of humanity in bunkers, maybe. Someone will find this planet eventually, and they'll want to know what happened. You'll tell them. You find a video camera in your sister's apartment. She was a filmmaker. She has equipment. You set up the camera, and you start recording. This is day 14 after the disappearance. My name is... You say your full name. I'm 32 years old. As far as I can tell, I am the last human being alive on Earth. Everyone else disappeared 14 days ago while I was sleeping. I don't know why I survived. I don't know where everyone went. I don't know if they're dead or alive somewhere else. All I know is I'm alone. I've driven from New York to California looking for survivors. I've found no one. I'm starting this video log to document my survival and to record what I find. If anyone is watching this in the future, human or otherwise, please know that we were here. Humanity existed. We built cities. We created art. We loved. We fought. We dreamed. We were here. And then one day, we were gone. Except me. I'm still here. And I'm going to keep recording until I can't anymore. You turn off the camera. You feel better having said it out loud, having made it real. You have a purpose now. Day 15, you begin exploring. You drive around Los Angeles with the camera. You record empty streets. You record abandoned cars. You record the Hollywood sign. You record empty studios, empty sound stages where movies and TV shows were being filmed when everyone vanished. You find a house in the Hollywood Hills, and you move in. Big house, nice view, infinity pool, home theater. It belonged to some celebrity, probably. Now it's yours. Everything is yours. Every house, every car, every dollar, every luxury item. All of it meaningless without people to share it with. But the house is nice, and you might as well be comfortable. You spend weeks exploring LA. You record everything. You break into museums and record the art. You go to the Getty and record sculptures and paintings. You go to the Natural History Museum and record the dinosaurs. You go to the California Science Center and record the space shuttle. You document humanity's achievements. You want the record to show we did impressive things. You visit Griffith Observatory and set up the camera on the telescope platform. You record yourself talking to the camera about astronomy. We figured out the universe, you say. We understood physics and chemistry and biology. We sent probes to other planets. We were about to become an interplanetary species. We were so close. And then we were gone. You visit Universal Studios and walk through the empty back lot. You see the sets from famous movies. You see the Jaws shark. You see the Bates Motel from Psycho. You see the town square from Back to the Future. All of it frozen in time, preserved, waiting for tourists that will never come. You record it all. Weeks turn into months. You establish a routine. Wake up, eat, explore, record, eat, sleep, repeat. You move through the empty city like a ghost. Sometimes you talk to yourself just to hear a human voice. Sometimes you scream just to break the silence. Sometimes you cry, but less often now. You're adjusting to the loneliness. You're learning to live with it. You have your mission. Document everything. You drive down to San Diego. You record the zoo. Animals still alive. Some escaped, some still in habitats. All confused about where the humans went. You open as many cages as you can. The animals should be free. You're not going to take care of them. You record Balboa Park, the museums, the architecture. You drive up to San Francisco. You record the Golden Gate Bridge. You walk across it. It takes an hour. The view is stunning. The bay spread out below, Alcatraz in the distance, the city beyond. All empty, all silent, all yours. You record the cable cars, the painted ladies, Fisherman's Wharf, Chinatown. You climb the Transamerica Pyramid. You look out over the city from the top. You think about everyone who used to live here. Millions of people. All gone. You record yourself speaking to the camera. I've been alone for 3 months now. I've explored 2 major cities and driven across the country. I've found no one. I'm starting to accept that I really am the last person. I don't know why I survived. Was it random? Was I chosen? By what? By who? I have no answers, just questions. If anyone finds this recording, please know that I tried to find others. I looked everywhere. I called out. I left notes. I searched. But there was no one. I was alone. I am alone. And I don't know how much longer I can do this. You turn off the camera. You sit on the floor of the pyramid observation deck, and you put your head in your hands. The loneliness is crushing. It's a physical weight on your chest. You can't breathe. You stand up and scream as loud as you can. The scream echoes in the empty building. No one hears. No one ever hears. You're screaming into the void. You climb down the pyramid and drive back to LA. It's becoming your base. The weather is nice. There's plenty of food in stores and warehouses. The house is comfortable. You can survive here indefinitely. But surviving isn't living. You need something more. You decide to read every book you can. You go to libraries and bookstores and take armfuls of books back to your house. You read during the days when you're not exploring. You read novels, history books, philosophy, science, poetry. You're reading all of humanity's knowledge and wisdom. You're learning what we were. You read at night, too. The power is still on in most places, automated systems running themselves. But you know it won't last forever. Power plants will fail. Water treatment will stop. Infrastructure will collapse. You have months, maybe, a year or 2 if you're lucky. Then you'll be in the dark ages, literally. Better read while you can still turn on a light. You read for months. You read hundreds of books. You have nothing but time. You start to understand humanity better. Our struggles, our triumphs, our patterns. We were always looking for meaning. We were always trying to connect. We were always afraid of being alone. And now you are alone. The thing we all feared most. You realize that humans are social creatures. We need each other. We're not built for solitude. Being the last human is like being a single ant. Ants can't survive alone. They need the colony. Humans are the same. You need the colony. And your colony is gone. 6 months pass. You've settled into a strange kind of normalcy. You wake up in your Hollywood Hills mansion. You make breakfast from canned goods and dry goods you've stockpiled. You spend mornings reading or recording video logs. You spend afternoons exploring LA or the surrounding areas. You've been to every museum, every landmark, every notable location within 100 miles. You've documented everything on video. You've created an archive of human civilization in Southern California. Hundreds of hours of footage, stored on hard drives in case anyone ever finds them. You spend evenings on the roof of your house watching the sunset. The sunsets are more beautiful now. Less pollution in the air. The skies are clearer. Nature is healing, as the saying goes, except there's no one left to appreciate it except you. You notice changes in the city. Plants growing through cracks in the sidewalks. Vines creeping up building walls. Trees pushing through fences. Nature reclaiming what was hers. The traffic lights still work, but the timing is off now. Some intersections stay green for 10 minutes. Some cycle too fast. The system is breaking down without maintenance. You notice the street lights are dimmer. Some sections of the city go dark at night now. Power grids failing slowly. The internet hasn't worked since day one. Cell towers are dead. Landlines are dead. You are in a communication blackout. If someone else is alive on the other side of the planet, you'd have no way to know. You think about that a lot. Maybe you're not alone. Maybe there's someone in China, or India, or Africa who also survived. But without communication, you'll never find each other. You'll each die thinking you were the last one. The thought is unbearable, but you force yourself to sit with it. You drive to LAX one day. Los Angeles International Airport. Massive, sprawling, frozen in time. Planes at gates. Jetways extended, luggage on carousels going round and round until the power failed. You walk through the terminals recording everything. You board a 747 that was clearly about to take off. Passengers' belongings still in overhead bins, magazines in seat pockets, pilots' checklists in the cockpit. But no people. You sit in the pilot's seat and look at all the instruments. You have no idea how to fly. You always wanted to learn. Now you have all the time in the world and no one to teach you. You could teach yourself. Books and manuals exist. But what's the point? Where would you fly to? Everywhere is empty. You leave the airport and drive to the beach. Santa Monica Pier. You walk out on the pier and stand at the end looking out at the Pacific. The ocean goes on forever. Somewhere out there is Asia. Somewhere out there might be another survivor, but you'll never know. You sit on the pier and dangle your legs over the edge. The waves crash below. Seagulls circle overhead. Life continues for them. They don't care that humans are gone. More fish for them now. You think about jumping, letting the ocean take you. Drowning would be peaceful, probably. Better than whatever slow death awaits you when the infrastructure finally collapses. But you don't jump. You're still not ready. Some part of you still hopes. Hope for what? You don't know. But it's there. A tiny flame that won't go out. You drive back to your mansion and you have an idea. You're going to throw a party. A one-person party. But a party nonetheless. You haven't celebrated anything in 6 months. You've just survived. But humans need celebration, need ritual, need markers of time. You drive to a party supply store and load up. Balloons, streamers, confetti, party hats, noisemakers. You go to a liquor store and take expensive champagne. You go to a bakery and grab a cake from the freezer that's somehow still frozen. You go home and decorate. You blow up balloons and hang streamers. You put on music from your phone, batteries still holding charge somehow. You put on a party hat. You open the champagne. You raise a glass to the empty room. To humanity, you say out loud. We had a good run. 7 million years of evolution. 10,000 years of civilization. And now one guy in a party hat, drinking alone in a mansion. You laugh. It's absurd. All of this is absurd. You drink the whole bottle. You get drunk for the first time in 6 months. You dance alone in your living room to music from your phone. You cry while you dance. You laugh while you cry. You're losing your mind, you think. 6 months alone will do that. You pass out on the couch wearing a party hat. You wake up with a hangover and regret. Day 200, you decide you need to leave Los Angeles. You've documented everything here. You've read everything worth reading. You need to move, to see something new, to have a purpose beyond sitting in a mansion waiting to die. You pack the car with supplies, camping gear, the video camera, hard drives with your recordings. You write a note and leave it at the mansion. I was here for 6 months. I'm going north to explore more. If anyone finds this, follow the Pacific Coast Highway north. I'll leave signs. You get in the car and drive. You take Highway 1, the Pacific Coast Highway, one of the most beautiful drives in the world. Even more beautiful now without traffic. You drive slowly, stopping frequently to record the views. You pass through Malibu, empty beach houses clinging to cliffs. You pass through Ventura, empty marinas with boats bobbing at anchor. You pass through Santa Barbara, beautiful Spanish architecture empty and silent. You stop at every town and leave signs. Spray paint on walls. A survivor was here. Follow north. Date. Just in case. Just in case someone else is looking. You know they're not. But hope is a stubborn thing. You reach San Luis Obispo and decide to stop for the night. You find a nice house overlooking the ocean. You break in. It feels normal now. You cook a meal on the gas stove. Gas still works for now. You eat on the back deck watching the sunset. The waves crash on the beach below. You think this might be paradise if you weren't so desperately alone? You record a video log. Day 200. I've left Los Angeles, and I'm heading north. I don't have a specific destination. I just need to keep moving. Staying in one place was making me insane. I've seen studies about solitary confinement, how it breaks the human mind. I think that's what's happening to me. I talk to myself constantly now. I argue with myself. I answer myself. I'm multiple people in one body because I need social interaction, even if it's with myself. I know that sounds crazy. Maybe I am crazy. How would I know? There's no one to tell me. No reality check. No other perspective. Just me and my increasingly fractured mind. If you're watching this and you think I'm insane, you're probably right. But you try being alone for 200 days and see how you do. You turn off the camera. You go to sleep listening to the waves. You dream of people. You always dream of people now. Crowds of people, cities full of people, parties with people, family dinners with people. And you're always trying to talk to them, but they can't hear you. Or you can't reach them. Or they fade away when you get close. You wake up every morning, and the loneliness hits you like a physical blow. The realization that it wasn't a dream. Everyone really is gone. You continue north. You pass through Monterey and walk through the famous aquarium. Most of the fish are dead, tanks cloudy, life support systems failed months ago. But some tanks are still running, some fish still swimming. You spend an hour watching a sea otter floating in its tank. The otter watches you back. It's the closest thing to companionship you've felt in months. An animal looking at you, acknowledging your existence. You cry watching the otter. You want to free it, but you're afraid it won't survive in the wild after years in captivity. So you leave it. You reach San Francisco again. You've been here before, but you stop anyway. The city feels different now, more overgrown, more wild. It's been 7 months since everyone disappeared. Nature works fast. You drive across the Golden Gate Bridge and head north into wine country. You stop at vineyards and sample wine straight from the barrel. You get drunk in a barrel room in Napa Valley. You toast the absent workers who made this wine. You toast the absent customers who would have drunk it. You toast yourself, the last drunk on earth. You continue north through forests, redwoods, ancient and massive. They don't care about humanity. They were here before us, and they'll be here after. You walk among them feeling small. You hug a tree and you weep. You don't know why. Something about the trees, their permanence, their indifference, their survival. They make you feel your own mortality, your own insignificance. You are a brief flicker, and you will go out, and the trees will remain. You reach Oregon. You drive along the coast, dramatic cliffs and crashing waves. You stop at every viewpoint and record. You're creating a travel documentary for no one, a record of Earth after humanity. You reach Portland and explore the city. Powell's Books, the famous bookstore. You spend a week there. You sleep in the stacks. You read by lantern at night. Batteries finally dying everywhere. You're running out of electricity. Solar panels would work, but you don't know how to set them up. You're not an engineer. You're just a person, average intelligence, average skills. You can survive, but you can't rebuild civilization alone. No one could. Humans need each other for specialization. One person can't know everything, can't do everything. You continue north into Washington. You reach Seattle, and it's the same as every city. Empty, overgrown, slowly returning to nature. You climb the Space Needle. You look out over the city and Puget Sound. You can see mountains in the distance, Olympic Range to the west, Cascades to the east. Beautiful and empty. You scream from the top of the Space Needle, "Is anyone out there?" Your voice carries across the empty city. No answer. Never an answer. You're at the edge of the country now. You can't drive further north without going into Canada. You decide to try. Maybe Canada has survivors. Maybe the phenomenon was limited to the U.S. Maybe there's hope across the border. You drive to the border crossing at Peace Arch. The crossing is abandoned. Gates open, no border agents. You drive through into Canada. You reach Vancouver, empty. You spend a week exploring Vancouver. Same story, different city. No people, just evidence of people. You drive east across Canada. It takes weeks. Canada is vast and empty, even before everyone disappeared. Now it's apocalyptically empty. You drive through the Rockies, through Calgary, across the plains to Winnipeg, through the forests to Toronto. Every city, empty. Every town, empty. Every person, gone. You're starting to accept it. It's not just Los Angeles or America. It's everywhere. The whole world is empty. You're the last human on planet Earth. You drive to Niagara Falls. You stand at the edge and watch millions of gallons of water thunder over the edge. The falls don't care that humanity is gone. They keep falling. They'll keep falling long after you're dead. You think about jumping, letting the falls take you. But you don't. You're still not done. You drive back into the U.S. and head south. You're chasing summer, trying to stay ahead of winter. You don't want to survive a winter alone. You pass through New York City again. It's been almost a year since everyone disappeared. The city is vastly changed. Plants everywhere, growing through concrete, climbing buildings, reclaiming the urban landscape. Animals everywhere. Deer in Central Park. Coyotes on the streets. Birds nesting in skyscrapers. The city is becoming a forest. You go to your old apartment. The note you left on the door is still there, faded but readable. No one has been here. You go inside. Everything as you left it a year ago. You sit on your couch and you think about that first morning. Waking up to silence. Realizing everyone was gone. Running through the streets calling for someone, anyone. You were so scared then. You're not scared anymore. Just tired. So tired. You leave New York and drive south. You pass through Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., All empty. You stop at the White House. The gates are open. No Secret Service. You walk up the front steps and try the door. Locked. You break a window and climb through. You're trespassing in the White House. Not that it matters anymore. There's no law, no government, no country. Just you. You walk through the empty halls. You sit in the Oval Office in the president's chair. You think about all the leaders who sat here, all the decisions made here, all the history. And now you're sitting here, the last human, in an empty building, in an empty city, in an empty country, on an empty planet. You take a selfie in the president's chair. For posterity. You laugh at yourself. Posterity for who? You continue south to Florida. You want to be somewhere warm. You're tired of the cold. You reach Miami in December, day 365. 1 year since everyone disappeared. You're still alive. Against all odds, you've survived a year alone. You find a mansion on South Beach. Right on the ocean, beautiful view, fully stocked bar. You decide this is where you'll stay for a while. You need to stop moving. You need to rest. You spend the anniversary of the disappearance drunk on the beach. You build a bonfire and sit next to it, watching the flames. You think about everyone you've lost. Your parents, your sister, your friends, colleagues, acquaintances. 8 billion people. Everyone you ever knew and everyone you didn't. All gone in an instant. You raise a bottle of whiskey to the sky. To humanity, you say. We were here. We mattered. We built beautiful things and terrible things. We loved and we hated. We dreamed and we destroyed. We were flawed and we were wonderful. And now we're gone. Except me. I'm still here. I don't know why, but I'm still here. And I'll remember. I'll remember all of you. You drink until you pass out on the beach. You wake up with sand in your mouth and the worst hangover of your life. But you're alive. Year 2 begins. You've stopped counting days. What's the point? Time has no meaning anymore. No work schedule, no social obligations, no appointments. Just endless time stretching before you. You establish a routine in Miami. Wake up when you want. Eat whatever you find. Spend your days exploring or reading or recording. Spend your evenings on the beach watching the sunset. Go to sleep when you're tired. The weather is perfect. Always warm. Tropical breezes. Paradise, if you ignore the crushing loneliness. You explore all of South Florida. The Everglades are fascinating. Alligators everywhere, thriving without human interference. You see panthers and manatees and countless birds. Nature is flourishing. The extinction of humanity is the best thing that ever happened to the planet. You record everything. You've filled dozens of hard drives with footage now. Your video archive is comprehensive. Anyone who finds it will understand what Earth was like, what humanity built, what we left behind. You wonder sometimes who will find it. Aliens discovering Earth in 1,000,000 years? Some new intelligent species evolved from dolphins or ravens in 10 million years? Someone, someday. Your documentation will matter to someone. Or maybe it won't. Maybe the hard drives will decay, and the footage will be lost, and it will be as if you never existed, as if humanity never existed. That thought doesn't bother you as much as it used to. You're coming to terms with impermanence. Nothing lasts forever. Not people, not civilizations, not planets, not stars. Everything ends. You're just witnessing the end of humanity. And then, you'll end too. And that's okay. You spend months in Miami doing very little. You're depressed, you realize. Clinically depressed. If such a diagnosis means anything without doctors or medicine, you sleep 12 hours a day. You have no energy. You don't want to do anything. You think about suicide constantly, but you never do it. You're in a holding pattern, not quite living, not quite dying, just existing. You force yourself to snap out of it eventually. You can't spend the rest of your life depressed on a beach. However much time you have left, you need to use it. You need to do something meaningful. You decide to go to Cape Canaveral, NASA's Kennedy Space Center. You want to see the space shuttles and the rockets. You drive up the coast to Cape Canaveral. The Space Center is frozen in time. Tourist exhibits abandoned mid-tour. The vehicle assembly building massive and empty. The launch pads with rockets still waiting to launch. Launches that will never happen now. You walk through the Space Shuttle Atlantis exhibit. The shuttle hanging in the display, beautiful and complex. You think about the people who designed it, built it, flew it. All gone now. Their achievement remains. You spend a week at Cape Canaveral. You learn about the space program. You watch old videos on your laptop until the battery dies. You read books about astronauts and missions. You're inspired by what humanity accomplished. We went to the moon. We built space stations. We sent probes to the edges of the solar system. We were reaching for the stars, and then we were gone before we got there. You stand at a launch pad and look up at the rocket. You wish you could launch it. You wish you could go to space, see Earth from orbit, the whole planet, the big picture. But you can't. You're not a rocket scientist. You'd blow yourself up if you tried. So you just stand there and look up and imagine. You leave Cape Canaveral and drive west. You're going to cross the country again. You want to see the national parks. You want to see America's natural wonders without crowds. You drive through Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, all empty. You reach New Orleans and spend a week there. The French Quarter is eerie without people. The architecture beautiful. The atmosphere dead. You play music on a stereo in the street and dance alone. You pretend you're at Mardi Gras. You throw beads to no one. You drink hurricanes on Bourbon Street alone. You pass out in the street and no one bothers you because there's no one. You continue west to Texas. Texas is huge and empty. You drive for days through nothing but empty plains and small towns. You reach Big Bend National Park. The desert is stunning, rock formations and canyons and endless sky. You hike for days, seeing no one. Obviously, seeing no one, there is no one. But the solitude in the desert feels different than the solitude in cities. In cities, the absence of people is wrong. Cities should be full. But the desert is supposed to be empty. You feel at peace for the first time in months. You camp in the desert under the stars. The stars are brilliant without light pollution. You can see the Milky Way, the band of our galaxy, stretching across the sky. You think about how small you are, how small Earth is, how small humanity was. 8 billion people living on a tiny rock, orbiting an average star in an average galaxy. And now, just you. One person under infinite stars. You feel the weight of it, the cosmic loneliness. You're not just alone on Earth. You're alone in the universe. As far as you know, you're the only conscious being in existence. The universe has become aware of itself through human consciousness. And now that consciousness is down to one. One person looking up at the stars and understanding what they are. When you die, the universe's self-awareness dies with you. at least in this part of the galaxy. The thought is heavy, but also strangely beautiful. You matter, in a way. You're the universe's last chance to know itself. At least here, at least now. You spend a month in Big Bend. You hike every trail. You camp every night. You live like a primitive human, hunter-gatherer, surviving off canned food you brought, but pretending you're living off the land. You feel connected to your ancient ancestors. They were alone in the wilderness, too. Small bands of humans against a vast, uncaring nature. You're just one band member now, a tribe of one. You leave Big Bend and drive to Grand Canyon. The canyon is breathtaking. You stand at the rim and look out over the vast chasm carved by the Colorado River over millions of years. Time made visible. Geological time, deep time, time scales that make human civilization a brief flicker. Humanity existed for maybe 300,000 years. This canyon took 6 million years to form. We're nothing in the face of deep time. And yet we mattered to ourselves. And that has to be enough. You hike down into the canyon. It takes all day. You camp at the bottom next to the river. The walls of the canyon rise thousands of feet above you. You feel small and safe simultaneously. The canyon doesn't care that you're here. The river doesn't care. The rocks don't care. But you care. You're here. And you're alive. And you're experiencing this. And that's meaning enough. You hike back up the next day. It takes longer going up. Your legs are screaming by the time you reach the rim. You're out of shape. A year and a half of depression and poor eating. You decide you need to take better care of yourself. You're going to live as long as you can. You owe it to humanity to survive. You're the last representative of your species. Act like it. You drive to Yosemite. The park is pristine without tourists. El Capitan and Half Dome rise like cathedrals. Waterfalls thunder down cliffs. Meadows full of wildflowers. You spend weeks here hiking and camping. You see bears and deer and mountain lions. The animals are less afraid now. They're adapting to a world without humans. In a few generations, they won't remember us at all. You record everything. You're creating a nature documentary. Planet Earth, after humans. You climb Half Dome, the cables are still there. It takes you all day, and you nearly die twice. You're not a climber, you're reckless, but you make it. You stand on top of Half Dome and scream. Not words, just noise. Releasing something. Your voice echoes through the valley. No one hears except the rocks. You climb down as the sun sets. You make it to the bottom in darkness. You're exhausted, but exhilarated. You're alive. You continue to Yellowstone. Geysers erupting on schedule. Old Faithful still faithful even without tourists. Hot springs in impossible colors, blue and orange and green. Bison herds roaming free. You spend a month exploring. The park is huge. You could spend years here. You consider staying, living in Yellowstone for the rest of your life. But something pushes you on. Restlessness. You need to keep moving, keep seeing, keep recording. You drive east through the Dakotas, Badlands National Park, bizarre rock formations like an alien planet. You imagine you're an astronaut exploring a new world. It helps with the loneliness, pretending you're supposed to be alone. You're not the last human. You're the first explorer on a new planet. You continue east to Mount Rushmore, the faces of 4 presidents carved in stone. Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, Lincoln. You look up at them. They represent America, democracy, freedom. All concepts that died with humanity. There is no America anymore. No countries, no governments, no systems. Just you and nature. You wonder what they'd think if they could see the world now. Their country gone, their species gone. Would they be sad? Would they even care? They're dead, carved faces in rock. They don't think or feel. Just like humanity doesn't anymore. Except you. You still think and feel. And that has to count for something. You leave Mount Rushmore and drive to Chicago. You've been here before, but you want to see it again. The city has changed dramatically. 2 years of neglect shows. Buildings are weathering, paint peeling, windows breaking, plants growing everywhere, reclaiming the streets. The Chicago River has changed color, less pollution, more algae. Navy Pier is falling apart, wood rotting without maintenance. You walk through the empty streets, and you're struck by how quickly civilization crumbles without humans. We built cities, but we also maintained them constantly. Without that maintenance, nature takes over fast. In 100 years, these cities will be ruins. In 1,000 years, they'll be forests. In 10,000 years, there will be almost no trace we were here. You find a library and take more books. You're running out of things you haven't read. You take philosophy mostly. You need to think about meaning, about existence, about consciousness. You need to understand what it means to be human, especially now that you're the last one. You drive back to New York, your old apartment. You haven't been here in over a year. The building is more damaged now. Water damage from rain getting in through broken windows. Mold growing. Your apartment door is still open. Note still there. You go inside. It smells musty. Everything is covered in dust. Your old life preserved in dust. You look through your things. Photos of friends and family. All gone. Clothes you wore to work. What was your job? It doesn't matter now. All jobs are obsolete. Books on your shelf. Movies on your shelf. Entertainment created by humans for humans. All meaningless now. You take the photos and leave everything else. You won't come back here again. This chapter is closed. You drive south, no specific destination. Just driving. Thinking. You've been alone for 2 years now. 730 days, give or take. You've lost count. You've survived longer than you thought possible. The human mind is resilient. It adapts even to complete isolation. You talk to yourself constantly. You have full conversations with yourself. Different voices, different perspectives. You're multiple people in one body. It's the only way to stay sane. Or maybe it's insanity. You can't tell the difference anymore. You reach Washington, D.C. again. You visit the monuments. Lincoln Memorial. You sit in Lincoln's lap. The statue doesn't mind. Washington Monument. You climb the stairs to the top. View of the city from above. Empty, green. Returning to swamp which it was built on. Vietnam Memorial. You touch the names carved in the black wall. Thousands of names. Thousands of lives cut short. But at least they died with others. At least they weren't alone. You envy the dead. They don't have to face what you're facing. Eternal loneliness. You leave D.C. and drift south. Autumn is coming. You can feel it in the air. You want to be somewhere warm for winter. You end up in Key West, the southernmost point in the continental U.S. Tropical paradise, turquoise water, palm trees. You find a house on the beach. You move in. This is home now. You spend your days swimming, reading, recording. You've fallen into a kind of peace. Not happiness, you'll never be happy again, but acceptance. This is your life. You are alone, and you will always be alone. And that's okay. It has to be okay, because there's no alternative. You can't change it. You can only accept it. You celebrate your 3rd anniversary alone. 3 years since everyone disappeared. You're 35 now. You've aged faster than you should. Stress and loneliness taking their toll. You look in the mirror and see someone older than their years. Gray hair appearing, lines on your face. But you're alive, against all odds. You think about how much longer you'll survive. Another year? 5 years? 10? You're healthy enough. Food is still available. Canned goods last for years. Water is still running in most places. You could potentially live another 30 or 40 years. Dying of old age, the last human. The thought is overwhelming. Decades more of this loneliness? You don't know if you can do it, but you've thought that before, many times, and yet you're still here. One day at a time, that's all you can do. One day at a time. Year 4, Year 5, Year 6. Time blurs together. You stay in Key West mostly. You've stopped exploring. You've seen enough. You spend your days in routine. Wake up, swim, eat, read, record a video log sometimes. Watch the sunset. Sleep. The same day repeating endlessly. Groundhog Day without the reset. You've read thousands of books now. You've become educated in your isolation. Philosophy, science, history, literature. You understand humanity better now than when humans existed. Distance and perspective. You see the patterns, the cycles, the themes. Humans struggling to find meaning in an indifferent universe. Humans creating art and beauty to combat the void. Humans connecting with each other because we can't bear to be alone. And yet, here you are, alone. The one thing we evolved to avoid. You're living humanity's worst nightmare, and you're surviving. Barely, but surviving. You think about legacy a lot. What will you leave behind? Your video recordings, if they last. Your notes and journals, if anyone finds them. Your body, eventually, which will decay and return to the earth. That's it. No children to carry on your genes. No students to carry on your ideas. No friends to remember you. When you die absolutely. And humanity dies with you. The last memory of 8 billion people dies in your head. Unless you record everything, which you try to do. You record memories, speaking them aloud to the camera. You remember your childhood, your parents, your sister, your friends. You remember holidays and birthdays and ordinary Tuesdays. You remember what it was like to be surrounded by people. The noise, the chaos, the connection. You remember love. You had lovers before everyone disappeared. Not many, a few relationships that didn't work out. You never married, never had kids. Maybe that's why you survived. No one to tie you down. No one whose absence would completely destroy you. Or maybe it's random. Maybe there's no reason you survived. You were just lucky or unlucky depending on how you look at it. You record memories of humanity's achievements, the moon landing, the internet, medical advances, art and music and literature, all the beautiful things we created. You want the record to show we weren't just destructive. We were creative too. We made beautiful things. We mattered. Year 7. You wake up one morning and you can't get out of bed. Not because you're depressed, though you are, but because you're physically ill. Fever, chills, cough. You've caught something. Flu, maybe, or pneumonia. Without modern medicine, this could kill you. You lie in bed for days, delirious with fever. You hallucinate people. Your mother sitting by your bed. your sister bringing you soup, a doctor checking your temperature. But when you reach out, there's no one, just empty air. You're alone and sick and possibly dying. You think this might be it? 7 years alone, and you're going to die of the flu. But your body fights. Your immune system, evolved over millions of years, does its job. After a week, the fever breaks. You're weak, but alive. You recover slowly over the next month. When you're healthy enough to walk, you go to the beach. You sit in the sand and watch the waves. You almost died. You came close, and you realized something. You don't want to die. Not yet. There's still more to see, more to do, more to record. You're not finished. You spend the next year traveling again. You go to places you haven't been. You drive to Alaska. The drive is beautiful and lonely. Canada's wilderness endless. You reach Alaska and it's pristine. Mountains and glaciers and forests. Wildlife everywhere. You see wolves and moose and bears. You feel like an intruder in their world, which you are. This is their planet now. Humans are gone and nature is thriving. You should feel sad about that. But you don't. You feel happy for them. They deserve this planet more than we did. We almost destroyed it. They're healing it. You spend months in Alaska. The midnight sun in summer, 24 hours of daylight. The northern lights in winter, dancing across the sky. You record everything. Your archive is vast now. Hundreds of hours of footage. Thousands of pages of journals. A complete record of humanity's last survivor. When you die, this will remain. Until it doesn't. Until it decays and crumbles and returns to dust like everything else. But for now, it exists, and that's enough. You leave Alaska and drive south. You're drawn back to familiar places. Los Angeles, the city where you spent your first year alone. The city has changed dramatically. 8 years of neglect. Buildings collapsing. Streets cracked and broken. Plants everywhere, turning the city into a jungle. The Hollywood sign is falling apart, letters tilted and damaged. You drive to your mansion in the Hollywood Hills. It's still standing, but barely. The roof has partially collapsed. Water damage throughout. Your hard drives stored in the bedroom, you check them. Ruined. 8 years of footage and records destroyed by water and mold. You feel a moment of panic. All that work, all that documentation, gone. But then you realize you have backups. You've been storing copies in multiple locations, libraries, museums, government buildings, sealed in waterproof containers. Some will survive, probably, maybe, you hope. You leave Los Angeles and drift. You're tired, so tired. 8 years alone has worn you down. The constant loneliness, the endless silence, the weight of being the last one. It's too much. You think about ending it more frequently now. Not in moments of despair like before, but calmly, rationally. You've done what you set out to do. You've survived. You've documented. You've honored humanity by remembering. Maybe that's enough. Maybe you can rest now. You drive to the Grand Canyon. You stand at the rim where you stood years ago. The canyon unchanged, timeless, indifferent. You think about jumping. It would be quick. A few seconds of fall, and then nothing. No more loneliness, no more burden. Just peace. You stand at the edge for hours. The sun sets, stars come out. The Milky Way brilliant above you. You think about your place in the cosmos. One human, one consciousness, under infinite stars, insignificant and irreplaceable simultaneously. You step back from the edge. Not today. You're not done yet. Something still keeps you here. You don't know what. Stubbornness, maybe. Or hope. Irrational hope that refuses to die. Hope for what? You don't know. But it's there. A tiny flame in the darkness. Year 9 begins. You're 38 years old. You look 50. The isolation has aged you. You have long hair now, wild and unkempt. A beard that's never seen a barber. You look like a castaway, which you are. Castaway on an empty planet. You decide to try something different. You're going to look for signs of why everyone disappeared. You've spent 9 years just surviving and documenting, but you've never seriously investigated the cause. You drive to Area 51 in Nevada, the famous military base, subject of conspiracy theories. Maybe there are answers there. The base is abandoned, like everything else. You break in, no security to stop you. You explore the buildings, offices frozen in time, computer screens dark, papers scattered on desks, classified documents sitting in the open. Not that classification matters anymore. You spend days reading files. Most of it is boring military bureaucracy. But you find something interesting. A file dated 1 day before the disappearance, marked with highest classification. It details an experiment. The military working with CERN scientists. Something about quantum entanglement. Something about opening a gateway. The file is technical. You don't understand most of it. But the final entry is chilling. Experiment scheduled for 300 hours. Expected outcome unknown. Proceed with caution. The experiment was scheduled for 3 a.m. Everyone disappeared sometime during the night. Is this connected? Did the military experiment cause the disappearance? Did they open a gateway and everyone fell through except you? But why not you? The file doesn't say. You search for more documents, but find nothing else. You check other buildings. You find a laboratory. Equipment still running on backup generators. Computers with data on screens. You're not a scientist, but you take photos of everything. You copy files from the computers onto hard drives you brought. Maybe someone someday can make sense of this. You spend 2 weeks at Area 51 learning what you can. The pieces don't quite fit together, but you have a theory. The military experiment created some kind of quantum event. A collapse of probability. A shift in reality. Everyone shifted except you. Shifted where? Another dimension? Another timeline? Dead? You don't know. You'll never know. But at least you have a possible explanation. Not that it helps. Everyone is still gone. You're still alone. But knowing why, or at least having a theory, provides some small comfort. You weren't abandoned randomly. It was an accident. A terrible, catastrophic accident. You leave Area 51 and drive to CERN in Switzerland. It's a long drive. You have to take a ship across the Atlantic. You find a yacht in Florida, big enough to cross the ocean. You've never sailed before, but you have time to learn. You spend months learning to sail using books and trial and error. You nearly die several times, but eventually you figure it out. You set sail from Miami, heading east. The Atlantic is vast and terrifying. You're alone on a small boat in the middle of an ocean. If something goes wrong, you die. No rescue, no help, no one to even know you're gone. But you make it. 3 weeks at sea and you see land. Spain. You dock in Barcelona. Europe is the same as America. Empty cities, abandoned cars, nature reclaiming everything. You drive across Europe to Switzerland. You reach CERN, the Large Hadron Collider, the massive particle accelerator that scientists used to study the fundamental nature of reality. Maybe they studied too deep. Maybe they broke something. The facility is empty like everywhere else. You explore the buildings and tunnels. You find notes and data from the days before the disappearance. They were running an experiment in coordination with the U.S. military, testing quantum entanglement at unprecedented scales. The experiment was successful. Too successful. The notes end with entanglement achieved across all particles simultaneously. Effect propagating. Cannot stop. God help us. That was the last entry. Hours later, everyone vanished. You understand now? They entangled all matter, all particles, all people. They connected everything quantum mechanically. And then something collapsed. The wave function of reality collapsed in a way that removed everyone except you. But why were you spared? You search for an answer, but find none. Random chance, maybe. Every quantum event has probability. Maybe you were the 0.0001% chance of not being entangled. Or maybe something else. You'll never know. You leave CERN and explore Europe. You visit Paris, the Eiffel Tower standing alone. You visit Rome, the Colosseum empty for the first time in 2,000 years. You visit Athens, ancient ruins and modern ruins side by side. You visit London, Big Ben silent. Every city the same story. Human achievement standing empty. Monuments to a species that's gone. You spend a year in Europe exploring and documenting. You record the art in the Louvre. You record the architecture of Barcelona. You record the canals of Venice. You're creating a record of human civilization at its peak. Right before the fall, you cross into Asia. You drive through Turkey, Iran, India. Every border open. No guards, no passports needed. The concept of countries is meaningless now. It's all just Earth. One planet, one continent, one ecosystem. No more nations, no more flags, no more borders. Just land and water and you. You reach India and the scale overwhelms you. India had over 1 billion people. Now, empty. You visit the Taj Mahal, the white marble gleaming in the sun, a monument to love, built by an emperor for his deceased wife. Now a monument to absence. You sit before it and weep. You don't know why. Something about the building, its beauty, its loneliness. It was built to commemorate one death. Now it stands witness to 8 billion deaths. You continue east to China. The Great Wall stretching across mountains, built to keep invaders out. But it couldn't keep the quantum collapse out. Nothing could. You walk along the wall for days. Recording, thinking, remembering. You reach Beijing, the forbidden city, once home to emperors, now forbidden to everyone because everyone is gone. You walk through empty palaces. You sit on a dragon throne. You're the emperor of nothing, the king of emptiness, the last human ruling over a kingdom of ghosts. You leave China and go to Japan. Tokyo is staggering. The largest metropolitan area on Earth before the disappearance. Now empty. 38 million people lived here. Now 0. You walk through Shibuya Crossing, the famous intersection where thousands of people would cross simultaneously. Now, just you. You stand in the middle and turn in circles. Empty in every direction. You scream. A primal, anguished scream. You scream for everyone who's gone. You scream for yourself, the one left behind. You scream until your voice gives out. Then you sit in the middle of the intersection and cry. You've cried so many times over the years, but you still have tears left somehow. You spend months in Japan. You visit temples and shrines. You learn about Japanese philosophy, wabi-sabi, the acceptance of impermanence, mono no aware, the pathos of things, the awareness that everything is fleeting. These concepts resonate with you. Everything is fleeting. Humanity was fleeting. You are fleeting, and there's beauty in that. Sad beauty, but beauty nonetheless. You visit Hiroshima, the city destroyed by atomic bomb, then rebuilt, now empty again. You visit the Peace Memorial. You read the names of those who died in the bombing. You think about how humanity almost destroyed itself with nuclear weapons. We came so close to extinction by our own hand. But we didn't. We survived the Cold War. We survived the threat of nuclear holocaust, only to disappear in a quantum accident. Ironic. We feared bombs and missiles and war, but we were killed by science, by our own curiosity. We looked too deep into the nature of reality, and reality blinked us out of existence. You leave Japan and sail to Australia. Another ocean crossing, this time the Pacific. You're a better sailor now. The journey takes a month, but you make it. Australia is vast and empty. The outback stretches forever. Red earth and blue sky and nothing else. You drive through the desert for days. You see kangaroos and emus and dingoes. You see Uluru, the massive red rock in the center of the continent, sacred to the Aboriginal people, sacred to no one now. You climb it, knowing it was forbidden out of respect for indigenous culture. But there's no culture left to respect. You're the last human, and you make the rules, which is to say, there are no rules. You do what you want because there's no one to stop you and no one to judge you. You sit on top of Uluru and watch the sunset. The rock glows red-orange in the fading light. It's one of the most beautiful things you've ever seen. You camp on top of the rock that night. The stars are incredible. The Southern Cross, the Magellanic Clouds, stars you never saw in the Northern Hemisphere. You feel small under the universe, but also connected. You're made of star stuff, as Carl Sagan said. The atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars. You're the universe looking at itself. The last piece of universe awareness on this planet. When you die, Earth goes dark. No more consciousness here, just animals and plants and rocks. Earth returns to what it was before humans, silent, unconscious, innocent. You spend year 11 traveling through the Pacific Islands. Fiji, Tahiti, Hawaii. Paradise Islands now more paradise without humans. You island hop on your yacht. You've become a skilled sailor. The ocean is your home now. You're more comfortable on water than land. Something about the vastness, the solitude. It matches your internal state. You're an ocean, vast and empty and deep. You reach Hawaii and decide to stay for a while. The islands are beautiful. Volcanoes and beaches and rainforests. You live in a beach house on Maui. You swim every day. You surf, learning from books and practice. You wipe out 1,000 times. But eventually, you get it. You surf alone in perfect waves. No crowds, no competition. Just you and the ocean. It's meditative. It's the closest you've come to peace. You live in Hawaii for 2 years, growing food in a garden you plant, fishing, living simply. You record less now. You've documented enough. Your archive is complete. Now you're just living. Surviving, yes, but also living. Finding small moments of beauty and meaning. The sunrise each morning. The taste of fresh fish you caught. The feeling of riding a wave. These small things matter. They're all you have. But they're enough. Year 13. You're 42 years old now. 13 years alone. Longer than you thought possible. The human mind can endure more than you ever imagined. You've adapted to solitude in ways that would have seemed impossible. You barely remember what it's like to talk to another person, to have a conversation that's not with yourself, to be seen, heard, acknowledged. You're like a ghost, existing but not witnessed. If a human lives and there's no one to observe it, does it matter? Philosophy questions that used to be abstract are now your reality. You decide to sail to Antarctica, the last continent you haven't visited. The journey from Hawaii to Antarctica is the longest yet. You sail south through the Pacific, around South America, through the Drake Passage. The Drake Passage is notorious, some of the roughest seas on Earth. You nearly capsize 3 times, but you make it. You reach Antarctica. The continent is otherworldly. Ice and snow stretching forever. Blue ice and white snow and black rock. Silent except for wind. Empty except for penguins and seals. No humans ever lived here permanently. So it's unchanged by the disappearance. Antarctica doesn't miss humanity. It never noticed us. You visit research stations, all abandoned now. Scientists were here studying climate and ice in space. Now the buildings sit empty, slowly being buried by snow. You find records and data from the scientists. Their last entries dated the day everyone disappeared. They were studying ice cores, looking into Earth's past, learning about ancient climates and extinction events. Ironic that they were studying extinctions when they were about to become one. You spend weeks in Antarctica. It's the most hostile environment you've been in. Freezing cold, dangerous, deadly. But also beautiful in a harsh way. Pure, untouched. You stand at the South Pole, the bottom of the world, as far south as you can go. You plant a flag. Not a country's flag. Those are meaningless now. Just a white flag. A flag of surrender, maybe. Or peace. Or just acknowledgement. You were here. The last human reached the South Pole. And now you're leaving. You sail back to New Zealand. You've circumnavigated the globe. You've seen every continent. You've documented human civilization as thoroughly as one person can. You're done traveling. You need a home, a place to spend your remaining years, however many that is. You choose New Zealand. The islands are beautiful. Temperate climate, not too hot or cold. Mountains and beaches and forests. Plenty of food from the land and sea. You can survive here comfortably. You find a house on the South Island, a farmhouse overlooking the ocean, mountains in the distance. This is home now. You settle in. You plant a large garden. You learn to preserve food for winter. You fish and hunt. You become self-sufficient. You've learned skills over 13 years that would have taken a lifetime before. You know how to survive. You're good at it now. You establish a routine. Wake with the sun. Work the garden. Fish or hunt. Prepare food. Read in the afternoon. Watch the sunset. Sleep. Simple, peaceful, lonely, always lonely, but manageable. Year 15. You're 44 years old. You've been alone for over half the time you were around people. Your memories of people are fading. Faces blur, voices quiet, conversations forgotten. You're forgetting what it was like to be human among humans. You're becoming something else. A hermit, a monk, a ghost. You still record video logs occasionally, but less frequently. What is there to say that you haven't said? You've covered everything. The disappearance, the search, the documentation, the philosophy, the loneliness, the acceptance. You've said it all. Now you just exist. You notice changes in yourself. Your voice sounds strange when you speak aloud, rough, unused. You go days without speaking. There's no need. You think in images and feelings more than words now. Language is for communication, but there's no one to communicate with. So language is fading. You're becoming pre-verbal, like early humans before language developed, existing in the moment without narration. It's peaceful in a way. Less thinking, more being. You watch animals more now. The way they exist without anxiety about past or future, they just are. You're learning to just be. Year 17. You're 46 years old. You look 60. Gray hair, weathered skin, tired eyes. You're aging faster than you should. The stress of isolation, the lack of medical care, the primitive lifestyle. You're wearing down. You wonder how much longer you have. 5 years? 10? 20, if you're lucky? You don't fear death anymore. You've made peace with it. Death is just another transition. From alive to not alive. From conscious to not conscious. From being to not being. It's natural. Everything that lives dies. You'll die, and that's okay. You've lived a strange life. Unique in human history. The last person. That's your legacy. Not a great legacy, perhaps. You didn't cure cancer or end war or create great art. You just survived. But maybe that's enough. Maybe survival is its own achievement, especially this kind of survival. Alone for 17 years. That's something. You receive no visitors, obviously. But sometimes you imagine them. Your sister appearing at your door. Your parents calling your name. Friends surprising you with a visit. The hallucinations are vivid. You know they're not real, but they're comforting. Your mind creating company for itself. You don't fight it. You welcome the hallucinations. You have tea with your imaginary sister. You have conversations with your imaginary parents. You laugh with your imaginary friends. It's not real, but it feels real. And that's close enough. You're going insane, probably. By medical standards, you'd be diagnosed with something. Hallucinations, delusions, dissociation. But there's no doctors to diagnose you. And sanity is a social construct anyway. Sanity means functioning in society. But there's no society. So you're neither sane nor insane. You're just you. Surviving the only way you can. Year 20. You're 49 years old. 20 years alone. 2 decades without human contact. You've survived longer than you thought possible. The human mind and body are resilient beyond measure. You celebrated the anniversary by building a monument, a stone cairn on the hill behind your house, a pile of rocks reaching 10 feet high. On the side facing the ocean, you carved a message. 8 billion people lived here. They were here. They mattered. Remember them. It's not much, but it's something. A physical monument that might last hundreds of years, long after you're gone. Someone might find it someday, and they'll know. Humans were here. We existed. We mattered. You spend more time sleeping now, not because you're tired, though you are, but because dreams are the only time you see people. In dreams, you're back in the world before, surrounded by crowds, talking, laughing, living. It feels so real. And then you wake up to silence. And the grief hits you fresh every morning, like learning everyone died for the first time. Over and over. 20 years, and it still hurts. You don't think it will ever stop hurting. Loneliness is a wound that never heals. You can only learn to live with the pain. Which you have. You carry it like a backpack full of stones. Heavy, always heavy. But you're strong enough to carry it. You've proven that. 20 years of carrying it. You can carry it the rest of the way. However far that is. You work your garden. The tomatoes are growing well this year. The potatoes, too. You've become a skilled gardener. You talk to the plants. They don't respond, but that's okay. It's nice to have something to care for. Something that depends on you. The plants need you. That gives you purpose. Small purpose, but purpose nonetheless. You think about meaning constantly. What's the meaning of your life? You're the last human, but you're not doing anything historically significant. You're just surviving, growing vegetables, catching fish, watching sunsets. Is that enough? Does life need grand meaning? Or is the meaning just in living itself? You've concluded it's the latter. Life's meaning is living, consciousness experiencing existence. That's enough. You're here. You're aware. You're witnessing the universe. The universe is witnessing itself through you. That's meaning. That's purpose. You don't need anything more grand than that. Year 22. You're 51 years old. You've noticed your health declining. Your joints ache in the morning. Your vision is blurrier. You get tired more easily. You're aging, degenerating, wearing out. Without modern medicine, you're vulnerable to any illness or injury. A bad infection could kill you. A broken bone could cripple you. You're careful. You avoid unnecessary risks. You want to survive as long as possible. Not because life is particularly enjoyable, but because you're not ready to be done yet. You're the last witness, the last human consciousness. You need to stay alive as long as you can. For them. For the 8 billion who are gone. Someone needs to remember them. And you're the only someone left. You spend your days in contemplation, sitting on your porch overlooking the ocean, watching the waves, watching the sky, watching the light change through the day. You've become meditative, almost monk-like. You exist in the present moment more than you ever have. Past and future are fading. There's only now. This breath, this heartbeat, this moment. And then the next moment, and the next, strung together into a life. Your strange, lonely, unique life. The last human life on Earth. Year 25. You're 54 years old. 25 years alone. A quarter century. You never imagined you'd survive this long. But here you are, still breathing, still conscious, still witnessing. You've created a routine that sustains you. You wake up, you work, you eat, you rest, you sleep. You repeat, day after day, month after month, year after year. It's monotonous, but stable. And stability is what you need. Routine is comforting. It gives structure to the formless passage of time. You wonder sometimes if anyone else survived. Somewhere on Earth, is there another person living the same existence you are? Alone, surviving, witnessing? You'll never know. Earth is too big and you're too small. But maybe somewhere in Russia or Brazil or South Africa, another person is watching the sunset just like you, feeling the same loneliness, carrying the same weight. The thought comforts you, even if it's not true. The possibility that you're not alone is enough. Hope doesn't require certainty. Hope just requires possibility. And the possibility remains until you die and even after. Because absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you haven't found anyone doesn't mean no one exists. Maybe they're looking for you too. Maybe someday your paths will cross. Probably not, but maybe. And maybe is enough to keep going. One more day, one more sunrise, one more sunset, one more breath. Maybe is enough. You continue. You persist. You survive. Because that's what humans do. We survive. Against all odds, through all hardship, Despite all loss, we survive. You are human, the last human. And you will survive as long as you possibly can. For yourself, for humanity, for the 8 billion voices that have been silenced. You are their witness. You are their memory. You are their last representative. And you will carry that honor until your final breath. However many days or years that is from now. You will persist. You will remember. You will witness. Because that's what it means to be human. To be conscious in an unconscious universe. To create meaning in a meaningless void. To connect even when alone. To hope even when hopeless. To continue even when continuation seems impossible. You are human, the last human, and you will honor that to the very end.